The rain had been falling all day, turning the streets of the city into a glimmering maze of neon reflections. For most of the people walking beneath the bright advertisements and hovering transport pods, the rain was just a nuisance. But for Leo, a thin, homeless human boy of 13, it was a constant threat. Every drop soaked his thin jacket, chilled him to the bone, and reminded him of the life he had to fight to survive. Leo had been living on the streets for as long as he could remember. His parents had disappeared when he was very young, leaving him alone in a world that was far bigger than him, far stranger than he could understand. He had learned to rely on himself, to move quietly through crowded markets and alleys, to take what little he needed without attracting attention. He was small, but he was quick, and he had a mind that worked faster than most adults around him. That evening, as the neon lights reflected off puddles that seemed to stretch endlessly, Leo ran toward the bus stop. He had been outside all day, scavenging for scraps and coins, and now the rain was making his fingers numb. He wanted nothing more than to find warmth, even for a little while. As he waited for the bus to arrive, he noticed a tall figure stepping onto the platform. The being looked almost otherworldly. Its skin shimmered faintly under the lights, almost like it was made of liquid silver. Its eyes were large and reflective, and its movements were fluid, graceful, almost too perfect to be human. Leo's first instinct was to be wary. He had learned not to trust strangers, but he also noticed something that caught his attention. This alien was fumbling with a small device, clearly trying to pay the fare for the bus, but failing. Leo's heart softened instantly. He had been in situations before where someone had helped him, and he remembered how good it felt. Without thinking, he reached into his small pouch of coins, the few he had collected throughout the day, and stepped forward. "Here," he said, holding out the coins. "It's okay. You can take the bus." The alien looked down at him, eyes wide, a small smile spreading across its face. The sound it made was musical, a kind of hum that seemed to resonate in Leo's chest. "Thank you," the alien said. "You are very kind, human," Leo shrugged. "It's nothing," he said, though it was something. Giving away those coins meant that he might have less to eat that night, but he didn't regret it. Helping someone felt better than keeping a few coins for himself. The bus arrived, a long silver vehicle that glided quietly along the wet streets. They stepped inside together, finding seats near the back. Leo noticed that the other passengers looked at the alien strangely, whispers spreading through the cabin. Most aliens had sharp, angular features, while humans like Leo were soft and round, and tall, elegant beings like this one always drew attention. Leo was used to being ignored. The alien was used to being watched. "Where are you headed?" Leo asked quietly, trying to make conversation. "To the council hall," the alien replied, voice still soft and musical. "And you?" Leo hesitated. "Nowhere in particular. Just somewhere warm, somewhere dry." He pulled his jacket tighter around him. The alien watched him carefully, and Leo felt a small pang of discomfort. He wasn't used to anyone paying so much attention to him. "You have been living on the streets?" the alien asked. There was no judgment in the voice, only curiosity. Leo nodded. "Yeah, it's not great, but I manage." The alien leaned back in the seat, eyes studying Leo. There was something in the way it looked at him that felt different from other beings Leo had encountered. It wasn't condescending or pitying, it was interested, almost like the alien could see something special in him. Leo shifted uncomfortably, unused to being noticed in such a way. "What's your name?" the alien asked. "Leo," he replied. "Yours?" "I am Kale," said the alien. "Ambassador Kale, if you prefer." The title made Leo blink. He had heard stories about ambassadors, beings who spoke for entire planets, but he had never met one before. He didn't quite understand what it meant, but he felt a little thrill. "Ambassador," he repeated slowly. "That sounds important," Kale smiled faintly. "It is a position with responsibilities. But tonight I am just Kale, just a traveler who needed help." Leo felt a strange warmth spread through him. Even though he was still shivering, still hungry, and still wet to the bone, there was something about Kale's presence that felt safe. As the bus moved through the city, Leo told Kale about his life. He spoke carefully, leaving out the worst moments but sharing enough for Kale to understand his situation. He told Kale how he had learned to navigate the streets, How he had learned to make friends with other homeless children and street animals. How he had discovered small ways to survive. Kale listened silently, eyes never leaving Leo's face. "You are very clever," Kale said finally, "and very brave. Most humans would not survive as you have." Leo shrugged, embarrassed. "I just do what I have to do. That's all." Kale's eyes seemed to glow faintly, as if he were impressed in a way that words could not express. "It is more than survival," he said. "You show kindness when you have very little. That is rare, that is remarkable." Leo felt a strange lump in his throat. Nobody ever said things like that to him. Most people ignored him or shooed him away. Kale was different. Kale treated him like he mattered. The bus soon arrived at a quieter part of the city, a place that was far warmer than the crowded streets and neon lights. Kale turned to Leo. "Would you allow me to escort you somewhere safe for the night? A place where you can rest and perhaps find food and warmth?" Leo hesitated. He was cautious by nature. No one had ever offered him a real safe place before. And somehow he didn't quite trust anyone fully. Not even Kale. But there was a sincerity in Kale's eyes that he couldn't ignore. "Okay," he said softly. Kale stood, motioning for Leo to follow him. The streets around them were still wet, but the rain had eased into a gentle drizzle. They walked side by side, Leo keeping a careful eye on Kale, still unaware of the ambassador's true status. Along the way, Kale asked Leo more questions, not about the streets, not about survival, but about his dreams. "If you could live anywhere, do anything, what would you do?" Leo thought for a moment. He had never really allowed himself to dream. Life was about surviving. But something in Kale's presence made him want to imagine. "I don't know," he admitted. "Maybe I'd like to see the stars. Travel to places I've never been. Maybe even help people." Kale nodded slowly, as if noting every word. "You have a good heart, Leo. Do not lose it, no matter where life takes you." They reached a small shelter at the edge of the district, a place that offered warmth and food for those who had nowhere else to go. Kale helped Leo inside, ensuring he had a warm blanket and a hot meal. Leo's eyes widened. He had not eaten a proper meal in days, and the warmth of the room made him feel safe in a way he had never felt before. "You can stay here as long as you need," Kale said. "Tomorrow we will find a way to make life a little easier for you." Leo nodded, words failing him. For once he didn't have to be brave. For once someone had seen him, not just as a homeless boy, but as a person who mattered. As he curled up under the blanket, he realized he felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Hope that maybe, just maybe, life could be better. And somewhere far away, among the stars he had always dreamed of seeing, there was a being who believed in him, a being who saw the best of humanity in a boy who had nothing. And though Leo didn't yet know the truth about Kyle, that he was a wealthy diplomat, powerful beyond imagination, he felt safe and valued. And that was enough for now. As sleep came over him, he whispered softly to himself, "Maybe tomorrow will be different." Outside, Kale watched over him, his eyes reflecting the soft glow of the city lights. The boy had no idea, but he had changed something in Kale as well. Humans, Kale thought silently, were remarkable creatures. Even in the smallest of them, there was courage, kindness, and strength beyond measure. And this boy had all three. The rain continued to fall, but inside the small shelter, warmth and quiet hope had taken root. And the night, which had seemed endless and lonely, now held the promise of a new beginning. The next morning, Leo awoke to the soft glow of sunlight streaming through the small shelter's window. The warmth of the room was a stark contrast to the chill he had felt the day before, and for the first time in weeks he felt rested. He stretched and rubbed his eyes, still adjusting to the strange comfort that surrounded him. Breakfast had already been prepared, a simple but hearty meal of bread, fruit, and a warm drink. Leo ate quickly, savoring every bite, feeling almost guilty for enjoying something so ordinary when most days had offered nothing at all. Kyle sat across from him, watching with a faint smile. There was a quiet presence about the alien that was both calming and powerful, as if every movement and word carried thought and care. Leo had not yet fully understood who Kale was, and in truth, Kale had not yet chosen to reveal the full truth. Instead, he had spent the night observing the boy, learning more about him than any diplomat could from reports or files. "You sleep well?" Kale asked, voice gentle but melodic. Leo nodded, a small smile appearing on his face. Yeah, better than I have in a long time. Thank you. Kale inclined his head. You deserve comfort, Leo. Even if the world has not always been kind to you, you deserve it. Leo paused. He had heard words like that before from strangers, but none had felt real. Something about Kale's presence made the words weigh heavy, like a promise rather than empty kindness. He wanted to ask more about Kyle, about who he really was, but he held back. Curiosity battled caution in his chest, as it always did. After breakfast, Kale suggested they take a walk through the quieter parts of the city. The streets were less crowded than the bustling markets Leo knew, and Kale seemed genuinely interested in seeing the city from Leo's perspective. As they walked, Leo showed Kyle small hidden paths, shortcuts between districts, and places where discarded goods could be found for survival. Kale listened attentively, asking questions and making occasional notes in a small, sleek device. You know the city very well, Kale said. Most adults do not even notice these places. Leo shrugged, a faint blush coloring his cheeks. I've had to learn. It's the only way to survive. Kyle nodded thoughtfully. Your intelligence and adaptability are impressive, Leo, and your kindness. It is rare to see in someone who has faced so much. Leo looked up, meeting Kale's eyes. Why are you saying all this? He asked cautiously. Kyle hesitated, choosing his words carefully. Because I believe in recognizing goodness where it exists. Because your heart and your mind are worth more than most of the riches in this city. The boy felt a warmth spread through him, and for a moment, he let himself imagine a life that was not just about surviving day to day, a life where he could learn, explore, and maybe even help others. By midday, Kale led Leo to a transport hub, a place where ships traveled between different planets and districts of the city. The sight was overwhelming to Leo. The towering ships, the precise movements of traffic drones, and beings from dozens of worlds moving in organized chaos. Kale walked with calm authority, and Leo noticed that others stepped aside, some bowing their heads slightly as Kale passed. It was subtle but unmistakable. Kale carried himself as someone important, someone with power, though Leo still did not understand how significant. They stopped in front of a massive building, its walls gleaming like polished metal. Kale turned to Leo. Inside, we will meet others who make decisions for the city and the planets beyond. You may find it intimidating, but I will be with you. Leo swallowed hard. He had never been inside a building like this before. The thought of meeting powerful beings made his stomach twist nervously. But Kale's steady presence reassured him, giving him courage he didn't know he had. Inside, the hall was vast, with high ceilings and walls that shimmered faintly under the lights. Beings of all shapes, sizes, and colors moved gracefully, discussing matters Leo could not understand. He clung to Kale's side, trying not to be overwhelmed. Kale approached a group of figures standing near a long table. They turned as he approached, bows and nods exchanged. Then, with a subtle gesture, Kale introduced Leo. This is Leo. He helped me yesterday when I needed assistance. His bravery and kindness deserve recognition. The group looked at Leo with curiosity. Whispers spread quietly through the assembly. A human boy standing here among powerful diplomats was unusual. But Kale's words carried weight, and the assembly listened. Leo's eyes widened as Kale continued. His actions were not prompted by expectation of reward. He acted out of kindness. That is why I bring him here today. Leo's heart pounded in his chest. He had never been recognized for anything. Not by teachers, not by adults in the streets, not by anyone. The attention was overwhelming, and he could barely form words. Kyle placed a hand on Leo's shoulder, grounding him. Do not be afraid, Kale said softly. You have shown what it means to act with honor. That is what matters. A distinguished figure, taller and more ornate than the others, stepped forward. Ambassador Kale speaks highly of the boy, the figure said. It is unusual for someone so young and untrained to display such courage and selflessness. Tell us more about him. Kale nodded. Leo has survived against great odds, navigating a world that is unforgiving. He has shown intelligence, bravery, and most importantly, a heart willing to help even when he has very little. He represents what humanity can be at its best. Leo felt his face heat up. He did not fully understand the praise, but he felt proud and also nervous. His hands fidgeted, and Kyle's steady gaze reassured him. The assembly discussed Leo quietly, debating ways to support him. Kale remained by his side, explaining the boy's situation and emphasizing the unique qualities he had observed. Finally, the decision was made. Leo would be offered a place to live, access to education, and guidance to help him reach his potential. Leo could barely believe it. "You mean I don't have to live on the streets anymore?" he asked, voice trembling. Kale smiled. "No, Leo, you will have opportunities. You will be safe. You will learn, grow, and explore the stars if you wish." The boy's eyes filled with tears, not from sadness, but from relief. After years of struggle, of hunger, of cold nights alone, he was being given a chance. A real chance. Over the following weeks, Leo's life began to change. He moved into comfortable quarters arranged by Kale, where he had a warm bed, clean clothes, and regular meals. Teachers and mentors visited to begin his education, and Kale personally ensured that Leo's strengths were nurtured. For the first time, Leo could focus on learning, dreaming, and growing without fear of survival every day. Kale remained a constant presence, guiding Leo, teaching him not just about knowledge but about courage, leadership, and the importance of kindness. The boy who had once been invisible on the streets began to understand that his actions mattered, that he could influence lives, inspire others, and make a difference. One afternoon, Leo accompanied Kale to a diplomatic gathering, where ambassadors from many worlds discussed important matters. He walked beside Kale confidently, answering questions politely, and even sharing insights from his unique experiences on the streets. Kyle watched with pride. The boy had grown in ways that no one could have expected. "You have exceeded all expectations," Kale whispered as they walked back to their quarters. "You have a gift, Leo. Never doubt what you can achieve." Leo smiled, feeling a sense of purpose he had never known. I just want to do good. To help, like you said." Kale placed a hand on his shoulder. "That is why you will succeed. Not because of power or wealth, but because your heart is true." Days turned into weeks, and Leo's confidence grew. He began to see the city differently, not as a harsh place of struggle, but as a world full of opportunities, allies, and hope. And through it all, Kyle remained by his side, a mentor, protector, and friend. The boy who had paid a stranger's bus fare out of kindness had unknowingly touched the life of one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. And in return, Kale had given him more than safety or comfort. He had given him a chance to show the best of humanity to the stars. Leo often thought back to that rainy evening on the bus, remembering how a simple act of generosity had changed everything. He realized then that true courage and goodness were not measured by wealth, status, or power, but by the heart. And his heart, once overlooked and underestimated, was now being given the chance to shine. As he stood on the balcony of Kale's residence, looking out over the city bathed in twilight, Leo felt a new sense of belonging. He was no longer invisible, no longer alone, and no longer just a boy surviving the streets. He was someone with purpose, someone who could make a difference. And somewhere deep inside, he knew that this was only the beginning. Humanity, he realized, had the potential to touch even the farthest reaches of the galaxy. And he, a simple human boy, was proof of that. The stars twinkled above him, and for the first time Leo dared to dream without fear, knowing that he had a place among them,